The story begins at Jangchung High School, and the teacher is warning the students to get ready for the upcoming martial arts exam. He also warns them that the exam is dangerous and doesn't recommend it for anyone who's weak. Hearing this, our protagonist, Ju Jingmin, realizes the teacher is talking directly to him, and right then he reveals that he's been reincarnated. This new world is called Blue Star, and its technology level is pretty similar to Earth's. The big problem, however, is that the place is inhabited by terrible, bloodthirsty beasts, and the only people who can fight these creatures are the awakened. In this world, everyone awakens a random power at the age of 16. The quality of these powers varies across 9 different strength ranks, and our hero's ability, it's one of the weakest, a simple E-rank chain. He realizes his power is so weak that it's basically got the same kick as a taser. Suddenly, a classmate slams his hand on Suso's desk and asks if he's still planning to take the martial arts exam even though he's so weak. The bully calls his power pathetic and even offers him a job so he won't embarrass himself. But then a girl stands up, furious, and tells the bully to mind his own business. The blonde guy gets annoyed and promises that during the test, he'll show everyone who's really the best. And before leaving, he adds that Juthu will just end up getting himself killed in the exam. After that, the girl tries to comfort him, suggesting he should choose the academic path to have a safer life. The application form shows that it's possible to follow either the academic or the martial path. For the martial exam, students have to enter designated zones to fight against ferocious beasts. Only if they pass the exam can they enroll in a martial university. He thinks to himself that even if he avoids the exam, he can't escape the beasts that could invade at any moment. In the past, he witnessed a terrible scene where monsters took his parents' lives. With a determined look in his eyes, he vows to never feel so helpless in a situation like that again. So, holding the application form in his hands, he finally decides he's going to choose the martial exam. Later that night, we see our protagonist training in his room. During his training, he's combining his electricity with his weapon. He executes several moves with his spear, trying to perfect his combat technique. And before leaving, he adds that Juche will just end up getting himself killed in the exam. With his body at its limit, he finally collapses to the floor, saying he can't practice anymore. He laments that he's been training for 2.5 years, but his proficiency is still at a beginner's level. He knows that the mortality rate in the military exam for students below D rank just keeps increasing every year. Even so, to get into the superpower university, he's willing to fight to the death. Unexpectedly, he comes across a strange panel that starts to glow. And finally, our beloved system appears, leaving Sue completely surprised. After activating, the system offers him a starter pack, and he wonders if this is his long-awaited hack. Excited, he wants to know what's in the package, and the screen reveals an S-rank power and 200 points. Zhu is shocked, since an S-rank power is so rare that one only appears every 3 or 4 years. Now even he, who was once an E-rank failure, has a chance to finally defy his destiny. Without hesitating for a second, the young man reaches out and accepts the reward. Right away, he receives confirmation, and the S-level superpower, Purple Thunder, begins to be released. A powerful energy envelops his heart, and Zhu screams in pain as purple electricity courses through his entire body. Then, an explosion of power fills the room as the release process continues. The blast of power shatters the house's windows, leaving everything in pieces. Outside, some people are startled by the strange smoke coming from the young man's house. A concerned neighbor calls the fire department, thinking something has gone wrong with the Shu family. Meanwhile, our hero is still in immense pain as the transformation process moves forward quickly. The sky suddenly turns dark, and people on the street wonder what caused this change in the weather. High above, an immense dragon made of electricity emerges from the clouds, frightening everyone. An important-looking man feels the pressure and thinks a powerful thunder beast is about to invade. Because of this, he orders the 3rd Jiangcheng army to go on maximum alert. The electric creature hovers over the city with a menacing and powerful gaze. Finally, the process reaches 100%, and the superpower transformation is complete. The energy around him dissipates, and we can see that the training room has been completely destroyed. Our protagonist clenches his fist, feeling the overwhelming strength. This is the Divine Thunder, a power so strong it can destroy someone with a single blow. He looks at the mess and thinks that the noise was incredibly loud, but luckily he managed to control himself. Then he remembers he got 200 skill points and wonders what they're for. The system explains that the points can be used to improve levels and skills, and he can earn more by killing beasts. Zhu laughs and says he likes this hack, then asks the system to open his panel. The screen displays his status as an unranked awakened with his new S-level ability. Since the exam is tomorrow, he decides to use his 200 points to improve as much as possible. He decides to strengthen his physique and spirit first, since superpowers stem from these attributes. Then the numbers start to climb rapidly as he distributes his power points. A dark purple aura envelops him as the young man feels the energy flowing through his body. He wonders if this is what it feels like to have your energy and blood circulation enhanced. After that, he clenches his fist and prepares to test his new ability. Our guy punches the ground with his lightning wreath fist, demonstrating his overwhelming power. The young man smiles, satisfied, and says that with his basic attributes improved, everything feels stronger. His 2 main attributes have increased by 20 points, and now he has more vitality and spirit. With his current power, he's sure he'll get into the university, and he wonders what his ranking will be. Then, the protagonist kicks his spear up into the air, and as he catches it, he decides to head to a martial arts gym to test his specific strength values. Suddenly, the door to his house is broken down. To the young man's surprise, some firefighters burst into the room, and he has no idea what's going on. The team leader explains that they received an emergency call about a fire at his address. Our hero apologizes and says the mess was caused by his superpowers fluctuating. The firefighter understands the situation and radios and that the emergency is over and they can leave. As they're leaving, the man is impressed that a student caused so much commotion just by training. Outside, the fire truck drives away while curious neighbors watch. A neighbor congratulates him on his dedication, and the young man says he's going to practice a bit more. For the awakened, training was essential, which is why martial arts halls were created. Our guy arrives at one of the most famous halls in the nation, the Thunder Hall. The Ferocious Bear Hall is expensive, meant for rich students, but the Thunder Hall is free for high schoolers. Inside, he sees a group of students and seems to recognize a girl among them. This girl is Tang Chi, our protagonist's cousin, who seems to be quite popular. She has a confident posture and is chatting animatedly with other female students. The young man approaches and greets her, surprised to find her at the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. His cousin replies that she's just hanging out with some friends, while the other girl seems interested. He then says goodbye and tells them he's heading to the training room, letting them get back to their fun. His cousin thinks he seems different, and her friend asks who that handsome guy was. She reveals that the young man is her cousin and that he's also taking the military exam tomorrow. Her friend gets all excited and says he'd be a great boyfriend to show off. But the cousin throws a bucket of cold water on the idea, revealing that he only has an E-class superpower. One of the guys says he's brave, but his cousin thinks the risks are too high. To change the subject, the girl calls her friends over to finally explore the hall. Her friend mentions that he's been training at the Ferocious Bear Hall for 3 years and has never been here before. Meanwhile, our hero is already in a training room, getting ready to test his strength. He holds a spear and notices it feels lighter, but he knows it's because his physique has gotten stronger. With the exam just around the corner, he knows there's no time to find a more suitable weapon. So he decides to test his maximum strength first, without the help of his superpower. With a focused expression, the young man prepares for the first test strike. He grips the weapon firmly and uses all his strength to deliver a powerful attack. The young man lands a powerful and precise blow on the training target. The spear's impact is so strong that it cracks the entire surface of the target. At that, the meter shows 321 calories, and the target regenerates. His physical strength has nearly doubled, while a common awakened only has about 100 calories of force. Next, he decides to test his new superpower, the Divine Thunder. Our hero concentrates, and purple energy begins to crackle around his body. Then he launches a lightning attack at the target with the power of thunder. With that, the meter shoots up to an incredible 3,021 calories. As expected from an S-class superpower, he's impressed with the result. But our guy knows that this still isn't his power limit. His deadliest move is combining his physical strength, superpower, and combat skills. So he combines everything and unleashes an attack even more devastating than the last. The electrified spear hits the target with overwhelming and thunderous force. At the point of impact, a sphere of purple energy forms, about to explode. With a war cry, he releases all the accumulated power in the final blow. The energy explodes in a vortex of power, completely destroying the training target. In the main hall, everyone feels a strong tremor and wonders if it's an earthquake. On the same floor, our hero's cousin and her friends nearly lose their balance from the shaking. One of the guys is shocked and says that the energy fluctuation came from a superpower user. Her friend wonders who it could be, since the strong ones train somewhere else, not here. With that, the protagonist's cousin becomes determined and decides to go check out what happened. The group follows the source of the energy, and they see Zhu leaving from nearby. She asks if he's heading home, and our guy confirms, saying he's going to prepare some more. So his cousin wishes him good luck on the exam, while the others head towards the room. They arrive at the door of the training room, and one of them confirms that the tremor came from there. Upon opening it, they see the target completely destroyed and are shocked by the scene. The friend is impressed by the destruction and wonders if there's really a student that strong in the city. The guy doubts it was a student and thinks it must have been a stronger user who went to the wrong floor. Another classmate agrees, saying that not even the geniuses from the capital cities can reach this level of power. But the friend remembers that she was just there and speculates that he might be a secret genius. One of the guys laughs at the idea and says she's been reading too many stories on the internet. The other guy assumes the powerful user must have left through another hallway, which is why they didn't see him. The girl approaches the destroyed target, and while analyzing the damage, she replies with a maybe. As she touches one of the holes, she realizes the marks look like they were left by a spear. The girl remembers her cousin leaving with his spear and wonders if she had been seriously underestimating him all along. The day of the military exam finally arrives, and we see several students gathered in a destroyed location. The students get off the buses already armed and ready for the test to begin. Our protagonist also gets off the bus carrying his spear with a confident look in his eyes. Some students look at the test site and get scared when they see a one-horned rhinoceros. Then a young man with a giant sword complains, saying they'll be useless if they can't even handle this. Our hero's best friend Lu Jie asks who that guy with such a big mouth is. The arrogant young man is Zhou Mingyang, who has a B-level ability and is already a top-tier user. The protagonist stares at the genius who's favored to be the best this year and wonders who's stronger. Suddenly, a loud voice shouts, grabbing the attention of all the candidates. Commander Wang Haiyang introduces himself and says he's going to explain the rules before the exam. The commander announces that the exam will last 12 hours, and the location is the ruined city behind him. The area is divided into 4 zones, and stronger beasts grant candidates more points. He warns that the central area is for the very best and tells them not to risk their lives for points. Our protagonist thinks that now he can attack the inner zone or even the central area. Then the exam materials are distributed, and Yu goes to get his from the teacher. He receives a small bag with 3 essential items for the survival test. The kit includes a smartwatch, a tactical backpack with supplies, and a safety beacon. The teacher advises him to use the safety beacon if he needs to, because his life is more important. Suddenly, the classmate who defended him from the bully calls his name and runs toward him. She invites him to join her team and promises to protect him during the exam. But one of the team members complains that they can't bring someone weak with them. Another classmate agrees and says they've changed their minds about what they had arranged before. They don't want to carry a burden and refuse to let the young man join their team. His friend gets furious at the guy's attitude and starts a big argument. The protagonist just smiles and says he plans on going in alone, and that they can form their own team. His friend asks if he's serious, and the worried girl tells him to be careful. The other guys mock the situation and call the girl over to go find Huang Tian. Our protagonist flashes a confident smile and thinks to himself that he'll get a high score even without them. Suddenly, drones fly over the area, and the Jiangcheng Military University exam finally begins. With that, all the candidates run into the ruined city, each with their own ambitions. Our hero's cousin and her friends also charge into the test zone. Our protagonist runs full speed into the exam, thinking that his time has finally come. He then activates his smartwatch to start recording his points for the test. The device confirms his identity as candidate Xu Jingming from Jiangcheng's second high school. Next, the screen shows the ranking, with Zhou Mingyan in first place with 7 points. Seeing that the students from the first school are fast, he decides it's time to get to work. He figures he's still far from the central area and decides to head straight for the middle of the danger zone. Running through the streets, our protagonist is surprised by something. He stops, shocked, to find a candidate lying dead on the ground, with their safety beacon still intact. He's stunned to see that his classmate didn't use the safety beacon in time. The protagonist thinks that if he hadn't awakened his S-class power, he would have met the same fate. He then uses his watch to call logistics and reflects on the risks and opportunities of life. Suddenly, a sound alerts him to imminent danger, and he spins around quickly. A paw with sharp claws appears, and a new enemy emerges. A shadow wolf lunges forward, and the young man realizes he's been led into an ambush. Our hero prepares for combat and shouts that this is a very well-laid trap. The beast rushes toward him, snarling and ready to attack, its eyes glowing. The wolf leaps at the protagonist, but he dodges with a swift movement and quickly turns to face the shadow wolf. He notes that the wolf is agile, has sharp claws, and a strong bite, a true rookie killer. The creature turns to him with a fierce roar, ready to attack again at any moment. Kim knows that beasts have an aura that intimidates their prey and leaves the awakened defenseless. That's why rich families hire bodyguards to get their children used to these beasts. Guy thinks that he doesn't have that privilege, and that this is his first time fighting a beast. With a roar, the creature lunges with its sharp claws at the young warrior. But he isn't intimidated, and with a confident smile, he channels thunder energy into his weapon. Then our hero pierces the beast's head with his electrified spear, ending the fight quickly. He's surprised to realize that the monster's terrifying aura has no effect on him at all. A notification tells him he killed a shadow cat and earned 3 skill points. He thinks that killing beasts gives points, but the weaker ones give almost nothing, and that's a problem. Since the monster's auras don't affect him, he decides to head straight for the dangerous central area. Along the way, the protagonist defeats several shadow cats and iron-furred pigs, earning more points. He continues his hunt and eliminates dozens of beasts, accumulating a lot of points. The young man thinks that he has points but lacks experience, because his power kills the creatures too easily. He notices that his power consumes a lot of energy, and if he uses it at full strength, he wouldn't last an hour. With the exam lasting 12 hours, he decides not to waste his abilities too early. He then decides to use only his spear, but suddenly, a huge creature appears in his path. The large rhinoceros beast charges forward, tossing a car into the air with impressive force. The monster was coming right at our protagonist, and without fear, our guy prepares for the imminent combat. With an agile leap, he dodges the creature's attack and repositions himself in the air to strike. Then he twists his body and prepares a powerful blow to hit the monster from above. Zhu strikes the beast's head with a precise attack, full of brute force. The creature topples to the ground, defeated, and our hero stops beside it, observing the result. He's surprised by his own speed and wonders if his spear technique has evolved. Upon opening his panel, he confirms that his spear technique has risen to the intermediate level. Our guy thinks that if the intermediate technique is already this strong, he can't imagine what a more advanced one would be like. Suddenly, various images of advanced spear techniques flood his mind, and he's shocked by the amount of new information he just received all at once. With a smile on his face, he can't wait to test his new power on a strong beast. Meanwhile, the protagonist's friend and her group are walking through the city, and she sees someone in the distance. The girl becomes thoughtful and says to herself that she thinks she saw Shu pass by. A classmate says she must be seeing things, as it would be suicide for him to come to this area. But the girl is doubtful, because the silhouette was identical, and she wonders how he's doing now. Suddenly, a classmate finds the fallen rhinoceros and calls the group over to see the dead creature. The girl analyzes the beast and notes that the blood is still fresh, and the wound was made by a spear. She's shocked and wonders if the person she saw earlier really was Ju. Her friend doubts it, since only a sea-level user could kill the beast alone, and Ju doesn't have that kind of strength. Another classmate suggests that to find out the truth, they just need to check his score on the ranking. The protagonist's friend then checks her watch and is shocked to see his name in 46th place. Everyone is in disbelief and refuses to believe that an E-level awakened is in the top 50. Meanwhile, in an observation room, the audience comments that the first school is dominating the top 10. The director of education, Zhang Wenshan, praises Zhou Mingyan and hopes he'll make it into the province's top 100. He congratulates the principals of the first and third schools who thank him with smiles on their faces. But the director criticizes the second school, as their best student is only in 18th place. Principal Zhao Yao sees that only 8 of his students are in the top 50 and lists their names. Then he pauses and wonders who this Xu Jingming is, since he's never heard of him before. The other teacher is shocked to hear the name and shouts that it can't be him in the top 50. He wonders if the boy hid his strength, but it's impossible for an E-rank power to suddenly become an S-rank. The teacher laments that only the top 10 have cameras, so he can't see how the young man got so many points. Meanwhile, our guy finally arrives at the dreaded central area, a high danger zone. Eating a cookie, he notices there are fewer beasts and thinks that the stronger ones are intelligent and territorial. Suddenly, Su feels a presence and realizes an enemy is approaching. With that, a huge tiger appears, advancing with impressive speed. That creature is a blade tiger, a first-class monster with sharp claws and fangs. But our guy thinks he's lucky to have found a strong beast right after entering the central zone, because it's perfect for testing his new spear technique. The tiger lunges forward to attack him, but Su remains unshaken and prepares for combat with his spear in hand. He then blocks the creature's attack with his weapon and is dragged back by the force of the impact. The beast's paws were trembling thanks to the protagonist's attack. Seeing that, Su wonders if this is all the strength a first-class tiger has, and our hero decides to end the fight once and for all. With a swift movement, he strikes the beast dead on. The monster roars in pain as it's hit. After hitting the beast, our guy thinks it's all over. However, the tiger becomes furious and prepares for another attack. It strikes with its claws, but the young man manages to defend himself. With a quick move, he dodges another blow that destroys everything around it. The protagonist thinks that the monster's vitality is strong and that it's fighting desperately, so he decides to end this battle with a single blow. He says this fight is just a waste of time as he begins to prepare his attack. An aura starts to emanate from his body, and then he launches an attack towards the tiger. The creature is hit dead on and starts screaming in pain. The monster finally falls to the ground, defeated. A notification informs him that he gained 14 points for defeating the beast. He realizes the exam is a treasure trove, perfect for him to level up. So the young man decides he's going to hunt more monsters to get as many points as possible. In the observation room, the screen shows that Chu has climbed to 32nd place in the ranking. The other teachers congratulate Ju's teacher, but he replies that the credit belongs entirely to the student. Suddenly, someone points to the screen in shock, as the young man's score has risen again. The director explains that killing an unranked beast gives 6 to 8 points, and a first-class one gives a maximum of 16. Another teacher says that the watch updates every 4 seconds. From this, they conclude that in just 4 seconds, the young man defeated several creatures at the same time. The director then asks Principal Zhao why he never mentioned such a promising student before. Principal Zhao says he just found out now too, and asks Teacher Chen to explain the situation. The teacher is then called upon and reveals that the young man's talent is just a weak E-rank electricity. The director is doubtful and the teacher confirms it, saying he even advised the young man not to take the exam. But the powerful man becomes curious, because for an E-rank to get this far means the boy has other qualities. He then takes a sip of his drink and says that soon the boy should reach the top 10, and at that moment they'll understand how he managed it or if he was cheating. The teachers are shocked and frightened by the possibility of fraud in the exam. Meanwhile, the hero's cousin defeats a monster and thinks that he must have been the one who caused yesterday's tremor. The first-place student, Zhou Mingyang, wonders who this newcomer is that he's never heard of before. Just then, a security camera finally manages to catch our protagonist running through the streets. The camera shows Zhu defeating another monster with his electrified spear. With that, he gains another 14 skill points and realizes that hunting here is much more efficient. A surveillance drone is filming him, and the young man understands that he's finally reached the top 10 of the exam. He then thinks that the top 10 is just the beginning, and that he's not going to hide his strength anymore. Before heading to the main area, he decides to use his points to become even more powerful. The young man notes that he has over 300 points but still hasn't been able to level up. He then understands that to evolve, he needs a cultivation method and focuses on his basic attributes. With his physique and spirit enhanced, he feels great and ready for the danger of the central zone. Upon arriving there, he finds a terrifying scene with several dangerous beasts devouring a monster. One of the tigers steps on the creature's head, showing its complete dominance and power. Our hero hides and counts 9 armored tigers and an even stronger tiger king in their midst. With a smile, he prepares for battle, thinking he's going to get a lot of points here. However, he feels another presence, and as he turns, he tells the person who's hiding to come out. To his surprise, the one who appears is Zhou Mingyang, the first-ranked student. The protagonist recognizes the guy, and the other is surprised that he knows his name. The genius explains that he knows all the strong people in the area, so he concluded that the new face had to be him. Then, the top-ranked student draws his sword and accuses our hero of trying to steal his prey. He says the tigers are too strong and suggests an alliance, but the young man refuses on the spot. With a confident smile, he says that he is more than enough to handle them all by himself. Then, he walks towards the pack of beasts, preparing for combat. The creatures see him and get ready to attack the invader of their territory. Our guy notices that the monsters are intelligent and are using a battle formation. With eyes glowing with anger, the tigers prepare to advance on the protagonist. One of the beasts leaps towards him with a furious roar. Hidden Joe watches and wonders if the guy has some special ability or if he's just going to die. But our hero remains calm, and a powerful aura begins to emanate from his body. He spins his spear skillfully and prepares to use one of his combat techniques. With a swift movement, the young man attacks and manages to hit two of the creatures at once. He then prepares to attack again, but ends up hitting the beast's claws, and his spear is repelled. However, he doesn't give up and attacks again, defeating the tigers for good. With that, the young man gains several skill points all at once. Little by little, the tigers are being defeated. Seeing its companions fall, the Tiger King becomes furious. Su regrets that his physical strength wasn't enough to defeat them all at once. Then the king and the other remaining monsters surround our hero. The Tiger King then lets out a terrifying roar. The force of the roar is so great that it shatters all the windows of the surrounding buildings. Hidden, Joe covers his ears and protects himself from the deafening noise, but our hero is unfazed and says that intimidation tactics don't work on him. He then advances towards the creatures, but the Tiger King ends up blocking the attack. With an agile leap, the young man uses the creature's back as a support to propel himself. The monster becomes furious upon realizing it has fallen into the young man's trap. He's in the air, ready to deliver the final blow to the beast. With a powerful attack, he pierces the Tiger King's head and ends the battle once and for all. And with that, he gains another 20 skill points for defeating the strongest monster in the pack. Zhu is shocked and wonders what kind of monster this guy is to defeat them all alone. Our hero celebrates the huge amount of points he got from this intense battle. He then decides to look for the next group of beasts to continue his hunt for power. Zhu runs up to him and asks how he defeated the tigers and what his ability is. The young man replies that his power is a lightning type and leaps away, leaving the other behind. The genius gets annoyed and thinks our hero is just brushing him off with a lie. He then looks at his watch, worried that his rival's score will soon catch up to him. But to his surprise, the scoreboard shows that the young man has already surpassed him and taken first place. In the observation room, the director confirms that he is a genius with his incredible mastery of the spear. He says that with this young man, they can enter the province's top 100 and promises a reward. The principal cries with joy, as his school is finally getting the recognition it deserves. 3 hours later, Zhou is walking through the central zone and wonders where all the beasts have gone. A girl tells him to ask the first-place student, and Zhou is surprised to see the whole group together. The hero's cousin explains that Shu eliminated all the beasts, which is why they had to team up. The genius doubts the story, as the central zone should be full of dangerous monsters. The cousin then shows him her watch and tells him to look at the guy's score if he wants to believe it. He's shocked to see that our hero has over 3,400 points on the scoreboard. His rival is in shock, and the cousin calculates that the young man defeated 200 beasts alone in this area. Jidu understands that the hero's plan was to eliminate everything from the start, which is why he sent him away. The group then decides to team up to try their luck in the dangerous innermost zone of the exam. The girl invites him to the team, and the genius accepts the challenge to reclaim his position. Meanwhile, our protagonist is exhausted, sitting on a pile of defeated monsters. He then thinks that the top 10 is just the beginning and that he's not going to hide his strength anymore. To get more points, he decides to go deeper, but he knows he needs to get stronger first. The status screen shows that he has accumulated an incredible 2,413 skill points. With a smile on his face, he decides where he'll invest all his points to evolve. With thunder energy surrounding him, he feels ready to face the end of the exam. With that, the team runs towards the innermost zone, ready for the final challenge. And so the final race begins, and a giant ferocious bear with red eyes appears. Our protagonist also wonders what this year's second-order beast for the exam will be. Suddenly, the group comes face to face with the creature and is shocked by what they see. The monster is a bloodthirsty wild bear, one of the most dangerous beasts in existence. The enormous creature rises with an intimidating presence, full of destructive power. Zhou becomes desperate and says the monster's hide is as tough as an E-class alloy. Hearing this, the hero's cousin suggests they abandon the mission, as the beast is too strong. Besides the bear, the area is surrounded by several other first-class monsters. She then gives up and says it's not worth risking their lives for a few points. But suddenly, one of the girls points into the distance and says someone is approaching. To everyone's surprise, the one who appears on the scene is none other than our protagonist. The young man advances and prepares for combat against the beasts. He lands with agility on the battlefield. One of the girls is impressed by the young man's beauty, while another complains about the crazy test. With that, he faces the horde of ferocious beasts that advance all at once in his direction. But our hero isn't intimidated and leaps into combat, defeating the monsters with his spear. The battle becomes increasingly chaotic and intense, with several creatures attacking at the same time. In a short time, the young warrior ends up completely surrounded by the beasts. The monsters engulf him, and it seems that our protagonist's journey has come to an end. The hero's cousin becomes desperate and decides she needs to go help him somehow. But the others stop her, and she reveals that she can't just stand by and watch her cousin die in front of her. Suddenly, purple lightning starts to emerge from the middle of the pile of fierce creatures. Then, a huge explosion of electric power throws all the monsters away from the young man. Zhou is shocked and wonders if this is the lightning superpower the young man mentioned earlier. In the midst of the lightning storm, our hero rises with an aura of overwhelming power. He thinks that physical strength alone isn't enough, which is why he needs to use his superpower. With a smile, he says that as expected of an S-rank power, the ability is incredibly strong. In an instant, all the smaller creatures are defeated by the electric discharge. Now only the area's boss remains, and the protagonist faces it, ready for the final combat. With a furious roar, the giant bear prepares to attack our protagonist. He thinks the bear is huge but not very agile, and with his thunder power, he can win. But he realizes that the small monsters accompanying it could be a big problem, so the young man decides that he'll clear the area first and get rid of the smaller creatures. He begins to unleash his electric power to eliminate all the monsters at once. With incredible speed, the young man charges towards the creatures. He then strikes one of the monsters with a direct hit and defeats it in a single blow. In the midst of the battle, he continues his hunt and defeats several monsters, gaining more points. He thinks that the S-rank power is dangerous to use for too long, but it's perfect for combat. Then he says that his strength is more than enough to finish off all these monsters. After defeating another creature, the notification confirms he has gained another 15 points. With the minions out of the way, the giant bear finally advances with a furious roar. The creature strikes with its paw, and the impact of the blow completely shatters the ground around it. The wild bear pauses for a moment over the crater it created with its devastating attack, but our hero had dodged and prepares to retaliate. The giant bear attacks with its enormous paw, trying to crush our protagonist. But with an incredible leap, the young man dodges the blow and prepares to attack from behind. The notification confirms he gained another 15 points for defeating a high-level monster. With that, the giant bear roars in fury for having lost another of its allies. With a smile, the young man asks if the creature is mad that he defeated its minions. He then tells the bear to wait because he's going to take care of the last remaining monster. The wild bear glares at him, its red eyes shining with pure rage and hatred. But when the young man advances, the creature intercepts him to protect its last ally. The protagonist is surprised, as the monster managed to anticipate his move. Then, the bear slams its paws down with force, trying to crush the young man with a single blow. The impact of the attack is so strong that it throws several cars away and destroys everything. In a brutal move, the creature ends up crushing its own ally in an attempt to hit him. But our hero manages to dodge and uses the beast as a support to leap over it. He says that now he's going to test if the bear's hide can withstand the force of his thunder. With a direct hit, he pierces the monster's head with his spear, which is charged with electricity. An explosion of purple energy envelops the creature while the drone films the entire scene up close. The shockwave is so strong that the group of students has a hard time withstanding it. In the observation room, the directors are shocked by the young man's display of power. The surprised director tells the principal that this can't be an E-class ability. One of the men explains that with his power, he defeated a rank 1 beast and fought a rank 2. The principal scratches his head and wonders if the young man's power might have undergone some kind of mutation. But the director says it doesn't matter, because the young genius is going to shake the entire kingdom with his strength. But to everyone's surprise, the creature is still standing and seems furious about the attack. The bear lets out a devastating roar. He then wonders how the attack only caused a superficial wound. With an agile move, he manages to land on his feet and recover from the creature's attack. He realizes the bear is immune to electricity and that it will be difficult to defeat it with his current strength. The creature prepares for its next attack, and a dark aura begins to envelop it. Our protagonist is shocked, as he didn't expect the creature to be so resilient. The wild bear charges towards our protagonist. The force of the blow is so great that it sends the young man flying and destroys everything around. Our hero manages to recover with his ability. He then realizes that the creature has activated its berserk ability, which is why it's so strong. The enormous creature glares at him and prepares to attack. The monster then lets out a deafening roar, and it advances with impressive speed, trying to hit the young man with its claws. Our hero narrowly dodges the massive attack and faces the creature's giant paw. He smiles and notes that the monster's strength has increased greatly after entering berserk mode. The young man thinks that the beast is acting on instinct, and that the best strategy is to use his agility to dodge, so he lands on the ground and prepares to attack. He knows he needs to wait for the right chance to incapacitate the monster once and for all. With that, he charges forward and attacks the creature's leg. A sphere of purple energy forms at the tip of his spear, about to explode with full force. The monster finally roars in pain, and it seems the electric attack has finally worked. With his eyes glowing, he prepares to use his technique, the divine thunder of the 9 heavens. Then, the hero raises his arm and summons a thunderstorm to finish the creature once and for all. With that, the giant beast is struck by a shower of lightning. The electric storm intensifies and completely envelops the monster's body. Finally, the creature falls to the ground, and the protagonist smiles, saying that not even the strongest defense can withstand his divine thunder for long. But to the young man's surprise, the creature is still alive. The bear gets up with a furious roar and prepares to continue the battle against the hero. But when it goes to attack, the beast is paralyzed and can't move due to the lightning's effect. With a smile, the young man says that this was exactly what he was waiting for. He then grabs his spear and prepares for the final blow. Our guy channels all the thunder's energy into his weapon. With a war cry, he launches his most powerful attack towards the creature. The blow travels like a hurricane of energy towards the defenseless monster on the ground. The technique hits the beast dead on, and a huge fiery explosion destroys everything around. The giant creature finally falls to the ground, defeated, and the scene is left completely destroyed. A notification informs him that he gained 24 skill points for defeating the bear. The hero says the fight is over and that his upgraded power didn't disappoint him one bit. With a smile, he thinks that even though it only lasted 2 minutes, this was the most exciting battle of his life. Then he gets up and wonders how many points he'll get if he eliminates all the beasts in the area. In the observation room, everyone is shocked to see that he has over 10,000 points on the scoreboard. The directors celebrate as he has broken the province's record, calling him a genius among geniuses. One man says that with this score, the young man has already secured the title of provincial champion for this year. Back at the exam, the protagonist looks at the fallen monsters and notices that time is running out. He decides to head back to the central area to kill as many creatures as he can before the end. With that, he departs, and in the distance, the group of students watches the scene, impressed by everything. His cousin wonders why he doesn't stop, since he's in first place with a huge lead. One of the girls notes that based on his direction, he's heading back to the dangerous central area. She then realizes with a shock that he's not retreating, but rather going after more monsters. The whole group is speechless as they understand that the young man's plan is to eliminate all the beasts. Zhu says that with the guy's speed, he'll eliminate everything. And with that, their alliance ends right there. At that, the whole group runs desperately to try to get some points before it's too late. An hour later, a warning sounds throughout the city, and the drones announce that the exam has finally ended. The protagonist's cousin looks exhausted and is relieved to hear that the test has come to an end. Some students celebrate having passed, while others lament not having achieved the required score. Our hero looks at the pile of monsters and regrets that the exam ended so quickly, as he wasn't satisfied yet. With the end of the test, the students begin to leave the danger zone, escorted by soldiers. The protagonist's friends group also leaves the area, and everyone looks exhausted. Just then, the cousin's friend asks once again if that guy is really related to her. With a pleading look, the girl begs her friend to give her cousin's contact information. The cousin reminds her that yesterday she didn't care at all, but the friend says that things have changed now. Suddenly, someone shouts that the hero is coming out, and the crowd pushes the two girls aside. Everyone rushes to see the exam champion, and a large crowd gathers around him. Then, our protagonist finally appears with a calm and confident look on his face. People start congratulating him and shouting his name with admiration. Our hero just waves to his classmates. Ju tells his friend that he's satisfied as he didn't expect a monster to emerge from the third school. Then the director congratulates him and says that the man from the education department will take him home. The young man thinks it's for the best, as he wouldn't have a minute of peace on the bus with so many questions. With that, our hero leaves in the director's car. Inside the car, the powerful man asks the young man which university he plans to go to now. The protagonist replies that he's been focused on training and so hasn't thought about it yet. The director smiles and says that with his scores, he can get into any of them and recommends the top 3. The first option is Qingjing University, where he can join the government right after graduating. The second is Modu University, a modern institution with many resources and elite clubs. And the third is Jincheng University, which has a long history and secret cultivation methods. The young man thinks that he needs a cultivation method and wonders what makes a method so good. The director explains that a top-tier method can turn an awakened into a user in just 6 months. He assures the young man that with his results, he'll get the best conditions at any of them. Our hero then thanks him for his help. The next day, our protagonist goes to take a shower to relax, and while he was in the shower, he checks his panel and sees that he has over 2,500 points. After getting out of the shower, he wonders if he'll be able to kill beasts at the university to continue evolving. Suddenly, his cousin and his aunt arrive, see the broken door, and decide to surprise him. The two enter the house with smiles on their faces and shout the young man's name to surprise him. But to their surprise, the young man appears wearing only a towel and is shocked to see them there. Embarrassed, he runs to get dressed, and his aunt wonders how the room got so destroyed. Ever since his parents passed away, his aunt has taken care of him with great affection, treating him like a son. Now sitting at the table, she says she was worried and that his score doesn't matter. Our hero looks at his cousin and asks why she didn't tell her mother about the result. With a smile, she winks and replies that it's better if he tells her the news himself. Embarrassed, he tells his aunt that he did very well and got over 10,000 points. Upon hearing the news, the woman is so shocked that she spits out all the drinks she had in her mouth. She can't believe it and asks if it's true, and the cousin confirms that he scored over 11,000 points. The aunt is still speechless with the news, and our hero tries to explain himself to her. Overcome with emotion, the woman hugs him, crying with pride, and says that the Zhu family finally has a successor. Meanwhile, in a meeting room, a woman presents the young man's file to some important men. One of the men says that if the score is real, they must recruit him, but another doubts that an E rank could achieve that. One of them speculates that his power is A class or S class, but another thinks he cheated on the exam somehow. The woman then tells them all to stop arguing, as she has already made a decision on the matter. She says she will recruit him as a special student and will personally investigate whether the score is real. A message on his phone confirms Yu Shio got first place. Our boy then celebrates excitedly, knowing he's the top student in the entire province. With that, the news spreads like wildfire and people start debating whether his power is genuine talent or just cheating. So an award ceremony is prepared, and the press gathers to cover the big event. Reporters start questioning the school's principal, demanding an explanation for the students' results. He replies that the full video of the exam has been posted on the school's website for everyone to see the truth. After watching the footage, people are shocked, wondering how an E-class awakened could be so strong. With a smile, the principal says the video proves everything, and that the young man deserves the prize he's about to receive. Just then, he reveals a check for 1 million yuan, and announces that the young man will also be getting a mansion. The other man smiles, satisfied. This news will finally put their school on the map. Meanwhile, the woman argues that the video doesn't prove anything, and that the most important thing is to confirm his power. Back at the ceremony, the directors wonder why the hero of the day still hasn't shown up. The man is shocked to learn that the young genius is still training, even after everything that's happened. While they wait, the principal serves tea to 3 important professors who came to see the young man. The principal's hand trembles with nervousness as he serves tea to his powerful guests. He's intimidated by their auras, thinking to himself that this is to be expected from experienced superhumans. The auras of the three manifest as gigantic beasts, and the principal wonders if they're about to fight. The director of Modu University breaks the silence, asking who the others are here to recruit. The representative from Qingjing says she won't play dumb, stating that if his results are real, he's hers. At that moment, the minister from Jincheng University jumps into the fray, claiming the young genius is already coming to his institution. The tension rises as a power struggle begins among the three, each wanting the boy for their own school. Just then, the door to the room opens, and the reason for the whole discussion finally appears. Our hero walks in with his spear on his back and greets the professors with a confident look. The three of them stare at the protagonist in surprise. The director notices that he isn't fazed by the pressure at all and that his fighting spirit is impressive. With that, the principal seizes the opportunity to introduce the representatives of the three universities to Su. The woman then stands up and praises the young man, saying his combat techniques are incredible, but she gets straight to the point and questions him about his superpower, which no longer seems to be E-class. The boy, who was already expecting the question, explains that he was struck by lightning, which made his power stronger. The other two realize that the boy's power must have undergone some kind of rare mutation. The boy, who was already expecting the question, explains that he was struck by lightning, which made his power stronger. She hands it to him and asks our hero to pour all of his ability into the device. With that, Shu unleashes all his power into the gadget. The representative from Qingjing is taken aback by the strength of his power, feeling her heart pound. The detector names the ability Purple Cloud Divine Thunder, but can't assign it a grade. Suddenly, the device starts beeping and cracking, unable to handle the energy overload. In an instant, the device explodes into 1,000 pieces. The boy's power was so immense that it left everyone there completely stunned. The principal, startled by what just happened, asks what's going on. The minister then confirms that his power must be S-class at the very least, since he broke the device. With a smile, the director of Modu thinks to herself that, as expected, they bet on the right person. The minister from Jincheng shouts, offering a 4 million bonus and C-class equipment. The woman from Qingjing laughs, saying his offer is too small for a genius like him. She then offers a 5 million bonus and access to all of the university's resources. With a smile, the director of Modu thinks to herself that, as expected, they bet on the right person. Then the director from Modu makes her offer, saying she will give him S-class cultivation resources. The other two are dumbfounded by the proposal, unable to believe what they just heard. The young man then asks what these S-class cultivation resources are. The woman explains they come from beasts with innate power and a physique similar to that of a dragon, and these creatures are born at level 4 or 5, far surpassing other beasts. She then reveals that the resource is the heart's blood of an 8th level dragon beast. Hearing this, the other two give up, knowing they can't possibly compete with an offer that absurd. Now the entire group stares at him, asking which of the three great universities he will choose. With a confident smile, our hero announces that he has chosen Modu Superpower University. He thinks to himself that he chose Modu for its excellent conditions and its reputation for training the very best champions. With that, he bows and thanks the other two representatives for their consideration and their offers. The director of Modu then summons the admission letter and hands it to the young man. She tells him that enrollment is on September 1st, but because he's a special case, he'll get his accommodations early. The young man then asks if he can consult the university's library before classes start. The woman agrees and gives him her contact info, telling him he'll have a private study room to train in. With the letter in hand, the young man is thrilled and can't wait to start his new journey at the university. A short time later, he's at the train station, ready to embark on his journey to Magic City. His aunt and uncle give him an emotional goodbye, with his uncle saying the boy has finally grown up and is ready to soar. At that, his parents tell his cousin that she should also go to Magic City so they can look out for each other. The girl feels a bit awkward at her parents' suggestion but agrees it's a good idea for her future. Once on the train, our hero uses the trip to study a training method he received as a reward. The book shows that there are 4 levels of training, and the higher the level, the faster the progress. He figures the method he has is intermediate, and it took him half a day to memorize all the content. Using the method, he felt a special energy between heaven and earth on his very first day of practice. He notices a plus sign has appeared on his panel, but decides not to level up just yet. The kid knows a better method will bring greater benefits, so he decides to wait until he gets to the university. He then finally arrives, and upon seeing the university's entrance, he is shocked by the sheer size of the school's gate. To his surprise, Director Zhang is there to greet him in a luxury car. On the way, she tells him the campus is enormous and that visitors can't see it all in one day. Our hero is impressed, saying that seeing it with his own eyes is much better. With that, the director hands him his student card, explaining that it also works as his dorm key. The boy is gobsmacked, remembering the dorms he saw in his past life and how much simpler they were. He can't believe it. His dorm is literally a luxury mansion. The woman explains that everyone lives in mansions, and since he's the top student, he gets the biggest one of all. But he'll have to share it with a roommate. He thinks that having a roommate isn't so bad. He'd rather have the company than be all alone. Once inside the mansion, the director says she's going to explain some important things about the school. With that, she holds up 2 fingers and reveals the 2 main points: the credit system and the mentor system. She then explains that credits are the school's currency, and 1 credit is worth 10,000 in local currency. The director says his S-class grade grants him 100 credits annually, and then she calls for Eva. A floating robot appears and confirms the boy's balance of 100 credits, leaving him completely surprised. She explains that Eva is the dorm's artificial intelligence and a subunit of the main AI. Our hero is shocked, realizing the technology in this world is far more advanced than in his past life. Next, she talks about the mentor system, where each student can choose a mentor for themselves. The young man is interested in the idea of having exclusive guidance from a powerful mentor in his very first year. The woman confirms this, adding that they have secret techniques they only teach their own disciples. With that, she recommends he seek out the dean of the Weapons Academy, who also uses the lightning element. The AI then shows that the man is a level 7 superhuman and a master of the Thunder Spear. She displays the other 3 mentors on holographic screens, saying the final choice is his. With a smile, the young man decides that Dean Yang is the best choice to be his new master. A short time later, he arrives at a huge traditional residence. Standing at the gate, he thinks that the mentor's house is far more luxurious than the students' dorms. Suddenly, a young man appears on the stairs and asks if he's there looking for a mentor. But the other guy is surprised to notice the newcomer is only awakened and asks if he's a special recruit. The upperclassman comments that special recruits used to be high rankers, not just awakened ones. With that, the guy introduces himself as Tan Mingyang, and our hero says he's a new freshman. Taoran is surprised that a freshman already wants a mentor, since rookies usually only find out about that during the competition. He explains that during the competition, professors observe, and the best students get mentors. The guy warns him that becoming the dean's disciple right off the bat is nearly impossible and a waste of time. Our hero thanks him for the explanation and asks if the upperclassman is also seeking Yang's mentorship. The upperclassman confirms it, complaining that he's been trying for 6 months but has always been rejected by the master. Suddenly, the door opens and a butler appears, much to the upperclassman's surprise. The man invites them in, saying that Master Yang is already waiting for them in the main room. The young man is shocked by the reception and wonders if he's finally going to get a chance with the master. The butler then guides them inside, where a powerful man awaits them in the main hall. Our hero can feel the powerful presence of the Dean of the Weapons Academy, Master Yang Jintinen. The master recognizes him, mentioning that the director already told him about him, and then calls him over to the training room. Inside the training room, Yang says he saw the exam video but wants to see this thunder ability with his own 2 eyes. So Zhu starts focusing his energy and purple lightning crackles in his hands. He then unleashes his full power, and a storm of lightning fills the entire room. Totally impressed, the master confirms this is the legendary S-rank ability, Divine Purple Cloud Thunder. And he thinks that even though he has a lightning power himself, he's just an A-rank. And the gap between A-rank and S-rank is just massive. With that, Yang tells Yus that with his potential, he's more than worthy of becoming his disciple. But he warns him that he has a lot of enemies, and being his student could bring the kid some serious trouble. Our MC doesn't even think twice and kneels before the dean to show his loyalty. Fired up, he says he admires strong warriors and that having enemies only proves the master's power. Yang starts laughing, completely satisfied, and announces that the boy is now his disciple and his first S-class one at that. He then tells Zhu to get up and hands him 2 training manuals he wrote himself. Our boy gets hyped, realizing the body strengthening technique is way superior to the common ones. The master then explains that this combat technique is his life's work and that it was certified as S-rank by 2 different halls. Zhu is completely floored when he hears this. A pyramid chart shows that combat techniques also have a ranking system, and the higher the level, the stronger the power. Our MC is surprised because level 7 masters usually only create A-rank techniques, but the one his master made is an S-rank. Yang explains that the technique only works for lightning users and has 13 levels that transform the body. He then tells Zhu to train with the first method and come back when he's leveled up so he can help him with the technique's foundation. Our boy thanks him, thinking that with a mentor's help he'll be able to level up much faster and without making any mistakes. The master thinks to himself that he's only reached level 10, and that the young man is his greatest hope to prove the technique's power. Because if the kid masters the technique completely, his body will reach an unimaginable level. He'll become immortal and indestructible if he can pull it off. As he's leaving, he says goodbye to the butler and sees the senior student on the floor. Zhu asks why he looks so beat up. The senior complains that to become a disciple, you have to beat an older student while they're only using 10% of their strength. He then assumes our MC failed too and offers some help, but Zhu tells him he already got approved. Hearing that, the senior is shocked because he's never heard of a freshman becoming a disciple before the rookie competition. He then wonders who this kid is and how he managed to pull off something so rare. Back in his dorm, Zhu starts meditating in the training room to level up. During his meditation, he notices that the energy from the high-level method is way stronger than the intermediate one. He then thinks that since he's already mastered the method, he doesn't need to train and can just level up with his points. After that, he opens his system and uses his skill points to finally level up. With that, a powerful aura starts to envelop him. Xaku begins to feel intense pain from the force of the energy coursing through his body, and he can barely handle it. But suddenly, a huge explosion of power takes over the entire training room. A few moments later, a notification pops up saying he has finally evolved to the first level. Our MC then tests his new power, and blue lightning starts to shoot from his hand. And right after, he creates a massive pillar of lightning. Satisfied, he thinks that now he could take down the bear from the exam without even using his spear. He then checks his stats and notices the high-level method boosted them by almost 100 points. He also sees that the evolution costs 300 points and decides to save the rest to learn the combat technique. Because being an S-rank, the indestructible body technique is going to cost a ton of points. The next day, Su returns to his master's residence. The master is shocked and wonders how the kid managed to level up so fast. Because in 20 years as a teacher, he's never seen a prodigy level up in less than 24 hours. The MC replies that speed is his only good quality and that he found the technique's foundation to be a challenge. The master explains that the foundation of the technique uses the blood of a lightning beast to strengthen the body. With that, he says he's going to help the young man forge the foundation of his indestructible body today. Yang then reveals that he requested an SS rank resource from the director instead of using the one he had. Then he shows him the blood of an 8th level Thunder Tyrannosaurus. Zhu is moved by the gift and promises he'll repay all this kindness in the future. The professor says that's a good way to think, and that they should start the process right away. In the training room, the master pours the blood over his disciple's head, who screams in pain. Yang warns him to hang in there, as the blood is toxic to low-level users and the pain is normal. He then says he'll use his own thunder to forge the foundation, and that the result depends on the boy. With that, Yang unleashes his power, the Fire Thunder. The red energy begins to circulate through Zhu's body, causing him to feel excruciating pain. One of the disciples remarks to the butler that it's already been 5 days and the rookie is pretty tough. He compares himself to Shu, remembering he only lasted 2 days with the blood of a weaker beast. This makes him eager to see how the new disciple's indestructible body will turn out. Suddenly, a loud noise from upstairs startles them both. The senior runs to the stairs and wonders if the kid managed to finish the process. Curious, he peeks through the door, but to his surprise, he sees Shrew out of control, giving off a terrifying aura. The senior is stunned by the sheer energy and feels like he's standing in front of a powerful beast. Completely out of his mind, our MC charges at the senior. Then the master yells for the young man to wake up and snap out of it. Zhou manages to recover at the last second, and as he returns to normal, he's confused and asks why he felt the urge to destroy everything. Yang explains that the Tyrannosaurus blood influenced him because of his high absorption rate, but the master reassures him, saying the effect will fade as he gets stronger. Hearing this, our boy is relieved, as he doesn't want to be controlled by his emotions and do something he'll regret. The master, thrilled, says the forging was perfect, with a 98% absorption rate, shattering an old record. The senior then congratulates him on his achievement, and Yang introduces him as Lu Ming, a 3rd-level user. Zhu greets him, and Lu says he's going to transfer some credits as a welcome gift. When he checks his phone, he's shocked the senior gave him 200 credits all at once. After that, the master explains that seniors look out for the freshmen, and that he'll do the same in the future. He then tells Yu to go rest, since he's been without food for 5 days, and to come back tomorrow for training. He finally heads back to his dorm, and in the living room he finds a white-haired guy playing video games on the couch. The guy turns around and introduces himself as Lu Wentao, his new roommate. Zhu introduces himself too, and the other guy is shocked to learn he's the top student from Jiangnan province. Liu says he knows about the freshman and heard about the scene the guy caused during the exam. He then starts firing off a bunch of questions about his city and his E-rank power. Our boy thinks his new roommate is a chatterbox, but he actually likes it since he's always hated being lonely. He remembers that in his past life he was an orphan who was never adopted and never had a home. His best memories were from college, hanging out with friends, before he was reincarnated into this new world. He thinks about how he was an orphan in this life too, and that his roommate will finally put an end to his loneliness. Liu then says he's heading to the martial arts hall, and Su decides to tag along to check the place out. They soon arrive at the university's Thunder Hall, and as they walk in, Liu is impressed by how bustling the place is. In one of the training areas, several students are sparring and showing off for each other. A little robot explains that the public room holds 300 people and is made of a super durable material. It also mentions there are private rooms if they want one, but Shu says this is fine for now. His friend gets excited and starts pointing out the strongest looking students in the room. Su then asks the little robot what those huge pillars scattered around the hall are for, and EVA explains they are strength challenge leaderboards, and you get 50 credits for breaking into the top 3,000. Li figures the university only has about 4,000 students, so he decides to give the challenge a shot. With that, the guy swipes his student card on the pillar to start the strength test. A chime announces that Lu Wentao has started the challenge and asks everyone to cheer him on. A group of seniors notices a freshman is taking the test and decides to watch for fun. Liu gets nervous with the crowd and braces himself, hoping not to make a fool of himself in front of everyone. He then lets out a battle cry. The blow lands, a solid punch on the pillar's target. The leaderboard shows 476 kilograms, and he's relieved he didn't embarrass himself. But to his surprise, the screen shows his score put him at rank 100,000. The AI explains that the leaderboard includes all students from the last 100 years, not just the current ones. At that, the seniors start laughing at him, and one of them says his own freshman score was way better. Our MC then consoles him, saying that he's not a physical fighter, so it's no big deal. Liu thanks him and asks him to try, saying he's sure his friend will do much better. With that, the chime announces that Zhu Jingming has started the strength challenge. The seniors notice he looks weaker and doubt he'll even break 400 kilograms. Zhu thinks to himself that he's leveled up and forged his body for 5 days, so his strength must have increased. With that, he wonders what his strength level is now and gets ready to find out. Our boy then gets into position and unleashes a powerful punch on the test pillar. If you want the next part, leave lots of likes and comments down below, and don't forget to hype the video, it'll help a lot.